Hey now, it's Brace for Impact, and I'm your host, Mike Gilbert, and I'm going solo one that ass, but still the same. We're talking Impact Wrestling. Oh man, we got a lot to talk about. But before I get into the Impact, well, it's welcome. I'm happy to be home. I just wanted to tell you guys that, man, I had a long trip to Massachusetts. That was a pretty tough deal. I'm glad I made it through that. Glad I made it back. Man, I came in on Wednesday night and I immediately had to go to work Thursday morning. Dude, I was exhausted. I ended up waking up at on Thursday morning. I woke up at like 2 in the morning. And then on Friday morning, I got a little bit of sleep. I slept until 3. And then this morning, I actually woke up my usual time, right about 5 a.m. So swig of coffee for the working man. Ah. But yeah, man. So before I get into the Impact stuff, and this does revolve around Impact a little bit, I just wanted to talk about CM Punk because so on JD and I's show for Voices of Wrestling, I teased that I was gonna have some CM Punk news. That was on Thursday night, and then we immediately started to record Overtime. Now, Overtime. Initially, we were releasing Overtime at the same time as the Mike and JD show, and then like the next day or like the following day, then I was doing Brace for Impact, and we're promoting so many things at once to where my Twitter was only about promoting the show. It was less about interacting with people and telling jokes and all that stuff. So it just became like too much. Like on Fridays, that's all I was doing was promoting these two different shows, and then Saturday I'm recording, Brace for Impact, and then having to promote Brace for Impact, and then so I was like, I wanted to break it up because it just seemed like I was promoting 3 shows all at the same time. So I was like, okay, so we record Overtime on Thursday nights because that's the only night JD and I can record together on a typical week, and so we recorded Overtime on Thursday night with a planned release for Monday, and I had a little bit of CM Punk news. Now I'm not a journalist, so I don't have sources, and I don't do those things, and so like I didn't want to tell those things on the Voices of Wrestling Network because what I didn't want to do was, you know, have people listen to that because that shows a bigger audience. The biggest audience that JD and I get is on the Voices of Wrestling Network because not only do you watch us on YouTube if you join us there, and a lot of you do, but it goes on to their main feed, the Voices of Wrestling feed with all their other shows, and we're pretty popular on that network. So I didn't want people listening to that and be like, "Hey, Mike and JD of the Voices of Wrestling Network put their name on it is reporting this," and that's not. I'm never going to report stuff. I'm not a reporter. I have friends that know some stuff, and then they share it with me, and then sometimes I talk about it on this show, and I do it in a way to where like no one's going to get outed. And I leave out specific details because I just don't want to get anybody in trouble. But I feel like it's okay for me to just talk about it on my network versus the wider network, because then you're breaking a lot of journalism rules, because a lot of the stuff that I say is like third hand information. And I'm not a journalist. I don't want anybody to accuse me of being a journalist, so I stay away from that. Okay, so I had some information about CM Punk, and I talked about it on Overtime. Well, then I would plan to release it on Monday. Then I wake up on Friday, and Meltzer had already put it in his Wrestling Observer newsletter. I was like, damn it. And then all of a sudden, Nick Houseman's like, I know this story too. And then Sean Ross Sapp's like, oh, I got some information too. And so I'm like, oh, shit. So I ended up releasing Overtime early. And I'm hoping JD can get to it. If not, I might have to clip it. So I might just clip out the CM Punk talk. I did make a cool thumbnail for it. But I want to talk about it here because there were a bunch of people, and I talked about it on this show, about the possibility of CM Punk going to Impact, and the Rascals are talking about it, and Josh Alexander, and then, Bully Ray actually even talked about it again yesterday on Twitter. And really all he's doing is just trying to get attention for himself and maybe drive some attention towards Bound for Glory, maybe get people's hopes up that are in the Chicago area that Punk might show up there. He's not coming to Impact. He was never going to Impact. There was never a shot of that. I know people believe that Anthem has all this money, and they do. They just don't spend it on that. So Um, and there was talk years ago that they were in negotiations with Chris Jericho. That was true. I don't know that it was ever a serious conversation. Jericho will tell you it was, but I also feel like he was using Anthem as a way to leverage going to AEW. Because that was in the early stages of the AEW. So he wanted, if you're going to be in a negotiation with somebody, you want them to know that you have options and that they're not your only option. So an option was created with Impact. So yeah, there was never a shot there. I'm sorry if that hurts people's feelings. That doesn't mean that Impact is less than or that they're poor, but it just means there was never a shot. He is absolutely going to WWE. That there's nothing signed. It's there, but they have agreed to it. There are meetings being taken place with him and some of the top stars over there, especially some of the ones that he might have badmouthed in the past. And some of the executives that he might have badmouthed in the past, but now he's running out of options, and so he needs the money, so he's going back to take that Saudi blood money. So swig of coffee for Saudi blood money or Saudi blood money. So yeah, I'm sorry to disappoint you, Impact fans. Some of you guys, and I love you, and did feel like there was a legitimate chance here, and I never really felt that, but I did talk about it. Because Impact was talking about it, and Impact was releasing to Mike Johnson that they were excited about the possibility, knowing that there was never really a possibility. I doubt there were even any conversations between the two sides, despite the fact that one of his really close friends is an executive there, Lou D'Angeli. So but yeah, the the people getting their hopes up for Impact. I hope you are in a more based in reality now. He is WWE bound. It's very likely looking at Survivor Series weekend, although there are some people out there that think that they should wait for Royal Rumble. No, I think they're going to do Survivor Series weekend, whether it be the SmackDown before or Survivor Series that night. It's in Chicago. They feel like that's the perfect place. So that's what it's more than likely going to be. If he doesn't go to WWE and he ends up in Impact, I will do an entire episode with my shirt off. That's how confident I am. That's how confident I am that is not going to happen. So, sorry to burst everybody's bubble, but I feel like that's that's important. But we do have some good news for Impact, and we have some big stars coming to Impact. At least one specifically that we've already been talking about. Will Ospreay. So we already know that Will Ospreay is going to be wrestling at Bound for Glory, and that he's going to be taking on Speedball Mike Bailey. Well, Impact, in an effort to get the ticket sales up for their show the night after Impact or BFG Fallout in Chicago, they have announced already that the night after Bound for Glory, that Josh Alexander and Will Ospreay will wrestle on that show. They didn't say whether or not that was going to be for AXS TV or if it was going to be they're going to hold it for a main event Monday or, whatever. I get the feeling it's going to be an AXS TV show. And that is the biggest possible match that Impact has the opportunity to make right there. And I said that I was pretty bullish whenever he was announced for Turning Point, that the Turning Point match for Ospreay should be Josh Alexander. Whether or not the title's on the line or not, if Josh is the champion or if he's not, I said my point was that he's going to AEW and Alexander is staying. He's an Impact lifer. I think this might be the only chance that you get to do that match. You don't need a storyline. You don't need a reason. You don't need, just make the match, because this is the only time we're ever going to get it. And you got to give the people what they want. Don't worry about, who was winning and losing. Don't worry about none of that stuff. Just make the match. And my idea was to do it at Turning Point and make it a time limit draw where everybody goes happy. 60-minute time limit draw and do that. And I was like, and both guys can go 60, and I think they can do it safely and smartly, and they can knock it out of the park. And that was my idea. Well, they're going to do the match in Chicago, and it's going to be taped, so we'll already know the results ahead of time, which would have happened in Turning Point anyway, because Turning Point is also being taped. So that's not not a big deal. But I gotta say, I'm excited about that. And if you live in the Chicago area, and I think JD said he's going to go to Bound for Glory, I would go for Bound for Glory Fallout as well, because the biggest match of the weekend happens to be on the TV tapings afterwards. I still like the idea of doing a 60-minute draw, but that's going to be difficult considering they're taping 2 separate TV shows, and they've already announced a lot for that taping. So I don't think they go 30. I mean, I don't think they go 60, but I bet they do a good 25-minute match and knock it out of the park. I fully believe that will happen. Or they'll do some gimmick to set up for Turning Point, which is fine with me too. but yeah, look, this is the Turning Point will be his last time ever in Impact until he's like broken down in 40. So we might want to get the best out of him as we can right now, and put him against our best guys. So excuse me. So that's pretty exciting. They also announced that Alex Shelley will take on Jonathan Gresham. Sorry. That's a pretty interesting match. Gresham just beat Speedball. I don't know that it'll be a world title match because we don't know if Shelley's going to be the world champion. But I dig them promoting these matches. The unfortunate part of they try to do it in a way where they're not spoiling anything. But I think the fact that Alexander and Ospreay's booked probably tells you that Alexander's not winning the title. I could be wrong about that, so I'm not definitive. I still think that Shelley should retain. So we'll see how all that plays out. But Alex Shelley versus Jonathan Gresham for Bound for Glory Fallout. I really dig that match. Gresham's turning heel. So that probably means I'm not getting my Shelley heel turn. So we'll there's a lot of moving parts, and I find that match to be very interesting. And again, just because they announce it for the event, that doesn't mean that it's happening on television, because they do some things where they actually announce big matches and then we don't see them till months later on YouTube. And I think that's pretty cool because they can book these things without any type of storyline being involved. It's just something for the live audience there. And then a couple months later, they do this Main Event Monday thing, and then we get it there. So I'm going to be very interested to see how that works out. And then Myron Reed, he was an MLW star for a long time, and he on the indie scene has been teaming with the Rascals. He was kind of like their fourth Rascal, and then when Desmond Xavier went to WWE, can't remember his I know he's one of the Lees. I think he's Wesley Lee, something like that. He's one of the Lees, the Dragon Lees, or Trevor Lee's cousins, whatever. But Myron had kind of stepped in, replaced him, and he does trios matches with the Rascals on the Indies. There for a while when Zachary Wentz was also in WWE, he was teaming with Trey Miguel on a lot of the Indies. Well, he has been free and clear of his MLW contract for a while. People have been trying to get him to come to Impact, and it looks like they're going to at least try him out because he is on his way to Impact. It's been announced for BFG Fallout that Myron Reed will be teaming with the Rascals, or he's just a member of the Rascals, and they're going to be facing a luchador trio of Taurus, Laredo Kid, and Juventud Guerrera. This is, of course, is because on the BFG Fallout, they're going to be doing a lucha tribute. Conan's going to be there, classic luchadors, and the current guys that are always losing on Impact. I think that Lucha Blog, who is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Network, so shout out Lucha Blog. He actually did the math, and there was only one luchador got a victory on TV in the entire calendar year, and it was against another luchador. They have literally lost every single match on TV for Impact, and now they want to do a Lucha Libre tribute. It's like if you want the audience to take these people seriously, get them some wins. What are we doing? Like, why? Like they very clearly don't value luchadors until they go to Chicago and they need help selling tickets, and then all of a sudden they value luchadors. And that feeds into the next story. They have shit on Lucha Libre the entire year, but now you want us to think that you care because Conan and Scott D'Amore have come together for a super show in Mexico. It's going to be called UltraClash. I think it's going to be taped for for Impact. I'm not sure if it's a Fight TV thing. I think I think this is just the Impact show. I think they're gonna be taping it for Impact. I could be wrong. You guys correct me out there if you want. Let me know. Always let me know where I'm wrong. But I was reading about it today, and I thought that, here, let me look it up just in case. Impact AAA UltraClash. They got some very interesting matches. We're finally gonna get Vikingo on the show. That's been a long time coming. We have not seen Vikingo since he actually wrestled Josh Alexander. So let's see what our buddy Gerard here said. I'll go ahead and do a share screen here. Let's see here. Boom. Let's see what our buddy Gerard says. So Impact and AAA to partner for a joint show in Mexico on November 26th. AAA Lucha Libre announced via press conference that they'll be hosting a joint show with Impact Wrestling in Monterrey, Mexico for a show. So Monterrey, there you go. It's going to be AAA UltraClash. Impact and AAA talent Laredo Kid. Oh my gosh, these pop-ups, Body Slam. You guys are killing me. I love you, Gerard. It's not Gerard's fault, but man, you can't really read any of this shit because it's all pop-ups. But so it says, and then Dave Meltzer reported the match cards for the event, which will have Impact Wrestling stars. Okay, they're doing a TV taping. So it says TV taping on 11/26 in Monterrey, Mexico. Matches announced are Alex Shelley and Vikingo versus Trey Miguel and Abismo Negro. Chris Sabin and Trinity versus Dynamico and Chick Tormenta. Josh Alexander and Octagon Jr. versus Moose and Toxin. Tommy Dreamer and Laredo Kid versus Brian Myers and Black Taurus. Rich Swann and Mystices. Woo, Mystices. I like that guy. Versus Latigo and Eddie Edwards. Arez and Frankie Kazarian versus Forastero and Sanson. And Diana Parazzo and Maravilla versus Jordan Grace and Sexy Star. No, not that Sexy Star. They have replaced that Sexy Star. But yeah, that's pretty cool. So it looks like they're just taping episodes of Impact there, and I find that to be very interesting. I like that, man. So that should be a pretty cool deal. But again, if this is just an opportunity for Impact to just take some Americans to go get some more wins over luchadors. Like, the luchadors are teaming with American wrestlers, and if the luchadors are all the ones taking the L's, what a waste, man. Triple H should just pull out of this deal. They got deals with everybody, man. Fuck that. Ratings news. So WrestleNomics, I thought this was interesting. They're reporting that Impact, they were up 25% in total viewership in September 2023 compared to September 2022. That's a pretty big deal because we're in less homes than we were last year. There's an annual decline in homes. So the number of people that are actually able to get the show has decreased, but the viewership has increased. Now the demo numbers are down, but the demo numbers don't mean dick to Impact. And I honestly, we're at the point now, because these demo numbers are so small anyway, I don't think they're being recorded very accurately. I don't really think they matter for Impact. So, but yeah, the demo numbers were down, but who cares? So that is pretty damn incredible. I love that. So good for Impact. And there were, I think, PW Insider, when PW Insider says this stuff, they're talking probably directly to either Demore or D'Angeli, but said that there's a lot of positivity Impact over the current ratings trends, the upward trajectory, and the year-over-year increase, despite the fact that we're down in homes. They're all pretty happy with that. They've been working hard. They've been telling some good stories, and they have, this week excluded, but they have in the past. So, good for them, man. I think that's really cool. And then on October 5th, they drew 110,000 viewers and a 0.01 rating, which is down from September 28th, where they drew 126,000 viewers and a 0.03 rating. Wow. They were ranked 107. That was way up over the previous 2 weeks where they did Impact 1000, the big nostalgia show that you would assume would have been the highest number they did all year, even going up against football. But no, that those shows actually didn't do well. They did well at the box office, but not well on the TV ratings. But Impact was able to draw a big rating, even going up against football, last week, and one of their better ones of the year. So kudos to them. They dropped a little bit this past week, not too crazy. They're holding strong though, man. So good for Impact. Hopefully they parlay this shit into a TV deal one day. I doubt that they can do that, but wishful thinking, one can hope. Let's go ahead and get into the Impact TV show. And I got to be honest, I was hoping for some more fun news to talk about. I wanted to really talk more about the news as opposed to the actual TV show, because I don't know what was going on with this TV show. I don't know what's going on with this Memphis crowd. And this crowd is dead. I feel like they're wrestling in a library. Some of the people, like the usuals, they have like their usual like 5 to 10 people. They go to all the shows. They're making noise. They like to be interactive. A couple of those guys are even in the country whipping match, or whatever they call fans revenge match. And so those guys are cool, but man, everybody else was just kind of there. Like, I don't know if they just gave them a bunch of Xannies and said, sit down and fucking enjoy the show, but they can't get these people to say anything. Hold on, swig of coffee for the silent fucking fan. But I thought this episode was brutal, man. They didn't even really have like the awesome match that they typically have. I think they tried to have that at the main event with Big Khan and Josh Alexander, but that match wasn't working for me either. I don't know. I just felt like this was a down episode, one of the worst episodes of the year. The show opened up on BTI. Savannah Evans and Jessica fought. I can't remember who won. I think it was Jessica though. Anyway, that was talking BTI bullshit. So Tasha Steelz in the first match defeated Killer Kelly. So Tasha defeated Killer Kelly. I thought this was funny. She was going to hit her finishing move. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a crucifix bomb. But she botched it and ended up giving herself a Samoan drop. So like the move was actually Killer Kelly giving Tasha Steelz a Samoan drop, because Tasha Steelz couldn't rotate her over and land her on her shoulders like it was what normally is supposed to happen. So she ends up giving herself a Samoan drop. Kelly's weight lands all on Tasha Steelz. Kelly sells it as if she's the one that's hurt. Tasha Steelz rolls her up for the victory. So she won with a botched move. And because Deonna Purrazzo and Tasha Steelz have decided to declare themselves as being a tag team, well, now they get a tag team title shot at Bound for Glory, because that's all you need to do in this fucking promotion is tell them that you're a tag team, and now you're a tag team championship contender. So there you go. I did not think this match was all that good. I feel like Tasha's a bit rusty. Her and Kelly did not have any chemistry. And of course, the crowd was dead silent. Backstage, Skylar's meeting up with Savannah Evans and Jai Vidal. Skyle? Who? I don't know. Giselle Shaw offered Evans. Oh no, Skylar offered Evans a chance to meet up with him against Ace Austin and Chris Bay, but Shaw interrupted, and Shaw made the decision that Jai Vidal will be his tag team. So Skylar had been on Twitter all week doing this gimmick where he's trying to get people to be his tag team partner, and nobody would take him up on it. So Shaw just gave him Jai Vidal because she was pissed at him. This actually was pretty funny, I thought. Gresham was interviewed backstage. Gresham explained his cheating against Mike Bailey was by saying that he wanted to prove the referees and officials were incompetent. Bailey confronted him backstage and asked him what he was doing, but Gresham walked out. Thank God Bailey is a great wrestler, because he's doing nothing right now to get me interested in his match with Ospreay, other than the fact that we all know it's going to be awesome. He didn't appear to be focused on Ospreay. There's no heat. They're not even talking about the Ospreay match. His mind could just be elsewhere. Great job, Impact. Are you even going to have him fucking talk about the match? He's focused on Gresham and getting his tights pulled. That's what he's pissed about. And now he's not focused on the Ospreay match at all. Why should anybody care, other than the fact that we know that it's going to be an awesome match, that there's going to be near falls and some cool moves? That's it. Talk about the fucking match, guys. Come on. It's one of the biggest matches in your company in the last couple of years. And the guy that on your team isn't even talking about it. Come on, dummies. Fuck. Impact Digital Media Champion Tummy Dreamer came to the ring to cut a promo. And he called out Crazy Steve. Dreamer put over Steve. This is where Dreamer goes into his like emotional soliloquies, talking about the history and trying to get people to cry. Fucking Dreamer, typical Dreamer stuff. He put Steve as the greatest blind wrestler of all time. I don't know if you can get an award for that. Do they have like a PWI 500 for blind wrestlers? I don't know, but I guess Steve is the best of them all. Him and Leroy McGurk maybe, and Stan Hansen. That Dreamer told Steve that he was open to Steve cashing in the feature fired against him. Steve and Dreamer hugged in the center of the ring, but this led to Crazy Steve stabbing Dreamer in the back with a fork. Dreamer was clearly wearing a pad. And you really couldn't see the stabbing motion. They just panned into where the fork was inserted into his shirt, where there was clearly a pad. This was terrible. I put a comment on their Facebook videos like, guys, this was one of the worst bits of television I've ever seen. It's like, it was just so bad. Like, what are we doing? Like, I don't know. I think they're gonna do a Monsters Ball probably, or a fork on a pole match. Fuck them. Eric Young and Jordan Grace and Dango and Champagne Singh and Jake Something defeated Mahabali Shira, Kylan King, Jody Thread, Brian Myers, and Bulky Ray. So this match was the winning team will then now go into a 5-way match, I believe. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they're going to wrestle next week. And the winner of that will be the last entrant into the Call Your Shot Gauntlet. So we already have some insight as to who's going to be in the Call Your Shot, and Bully Ray's in the Call Your Shot, just like he was last year. I liked this match. Like, it was an okay match. I didn't find it to be all that interesting, but they did some cool stuff, right? I thought Jake Something was rather impressive. I feel like Eric Young is getting lost in the shuffle here. And then like his contract came up at a time where they didn't really have an idea of what they wanted to do with him. And so now he's just, babyface Jones on the card, when really I'd like to see him involved in something. But instead he's doing this horse shit. And same with Jake Something. So hopefully Jake is the winner of the Call Your Shot. That would be cool. But we'll see how all this plays out. I just don't know. But I didn't think that the match was bad. I'm typically not a intergender wrestling fan, but I feel like Impact has found their groove and they do it pretty tastefully. So and I thought that this whole thing was okay. So good for them, I guess. And then Josh Alexander was interviewed backstage by GM Miller. Alexander said that it may not be wise to face Khan before his world title bout at Bound for Glory, but said that he took the match because he had a champion's mentality. Impact World Champion Alex Shelley confronted him backstage, where he stated that he would accompany Alexander to the match to make sure he was 100% for Bound for Glory. And then there was a video package hyping up the Impact Knockouts title bout between Mickie James and Champion Trinity for Bound for Glory 2023. After that video, Trinity was interviewed by Gia, where Trinity stated that she respected Mickie James, but was focused on retaining her title at Bound for Glory. So that was that. Fans Revenge strap match. Guys, I'm going to tell you something, and this is going to shock you. I felt like this was the match of the night. I liked this match. I thought John Skyler and Jai Vidal were pretty funny in the match. I thought I really did enjoy it. And I kind of like the Fans Revenge gimmick. TNA used to do that with Jeff Jarrett, and I thought he always played his part well. And this just seemed like a 1-week gimmick, but for whatever it was, it worked for me. I like just seeing like the heels run outside and then the fans just start whipping the shit out of them. I think one of the fans got a little too greedy, got a little ahead of himself and whipped Jai Vidal right in the face. I like even rewinded it. And I was like, oh wow, he hit that motherfucker in the face. It's like, that looked pretty brutal, man. I dug the match. I really did. And this was my match of the night. I think, Skyler, he's like like a sawed off, good brother. You know what I mean? He's probably like when he goes to Luke Gallows' house or Doc Gallows' house, like he's like the butler. He's like their little buddy. And now he's turned that into like a wrestling character. He's like 5'6" and he's got like the beer belly. But I thought he was pretty funny in this. And he's actually kind of a good worker too. So, and then Jai Vidal I think is great, or Jay. I think they call him Jay, but it's spelled Jai. So when I'm reading it, it says Jai to me, but it could be Jay. I think they call him Jay. But yeah, and he's funny too. I thought they were both pretty good in this match. And then there was a video recap highlighting the feud between Frankie and Eddie for their grudge match coming up later. I think it might be next week. It's a best 2 out of 3 falls, and I think they do a different match for each fall. So hopefully that's the big blow off, because that feud has gotten stale. Moose with Brian Myers defeated Bhupinder Gujar. Essentially a squash match, but this is Moose's attempt to get back into the singles competition. So he's beating up on some jobbers, and Gujar is a jobber. So that's what he does. He did his job. After the match, Macklin confronted Moose and Myers. Macklin told Moose that the Feast of Fire briefcase Moose was holding belonged to him, but Moose only had it because Rhino interfered. Macklin then demanded to get the briefcase, but Moose refused and thought this was a trick from Bulky Ray. Macklin denied that because he stated that Bully Ray had gone soft. They're really leaning into this Macklin versus Bully Ray stuff, but it looks like they're going to try to turn Bully Ray heel, and I think it should be Macklin that goes heel, by the way. PCO appeared and attacked Bully Ray and Brian Myers. Macklin made it to the ramp and was caught by Rhino with a gore. It looks like we might be getting something with PCO, Rhino, Macklin, and Myers. You know, last week we talked about PCO leaving the company. The week before that, he had given his notice. Earlier this week, I think it was yesterday, they put a brand new PCO t-shirt on sale. So they're starting to sell new PCO merchandise. I get the feeling he actually ended up resigning, and that the whole thing was just a leverage move. And then he's been brought back. I don't know this for a fact, by the way. No one's told me this. I don't have, those types of scoops, but just that, or it could be that the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing. And I think that's very possible too. This company is very, very capable of being incompetent, and a guy that's on his way out, you don't want to just create new merch for him if you don't got any paper on him. So either they're stupid, which is possible. Don't get me wrong, that is possible. I'm not ruling out that possibility. Or they have either agreed to a deal or they've actually signed a new deal, and he's going to be sticking around because there is new PCO merch on Impact Shop. They actually promoted it. He was promoting it. So he may have actually re-signed. So we'll see. And then we get the Rascals. They defaced the Impact tag team titles in front of Santino Marella, but they were interrupted by Ace Austin and Chris Bay. Bay and Austin revealed that they were cashing in their Feast or Fire briefcase to get a shot at the tag titles at Bound for Glory. But Sami Callihan and Rich Swann interrupted to get a shot of their own at the gold. Marella announced that Callahan and Swann would face the Rascals for the tag titles next week, and the winner facing Austin and Bay for gold at Bound for Glory. It's tough to make these matches and to make people care when we already know that Callahan has left the company. He has left the company. He's announced it. He's been all over the internet. He's doing interviews with Fightful. Essentially, he told Fightful that, they just couldn't come to a financial deal. I think he wanted more money, and they didn't want to give him the money. I think his goose is cooked in Impact. I think that he was done, and he needs to go away for a while, and then maybe 6 months down the road they can bring him back. I don't think that we've seen the last of Callahan in Impact, but making this match when we all know that he's not coming back is not going to lead to interest next week in seeing the match, because we know what the outcome is already. Now, I get that there's spoilers out there, and I get that the average fan does not read the spoilers, but I think a lot of those people already know that Callahan's gone. It's not like they don't read Fightful. Right? Like they know that Callahan's gone. So yeah. I'm not sure why they even did that, but maybe it'll lead to something. I have no idea. X Division champion Chris Sabin cut a promo addressing Kenta ahead of their match for the title of Bound for Glory. Sabin put over Kenta's legendary career ahead of Kenta's challenge, but Sabin promised to retain at Bound for Glory. I think he's going to keep that promise. I don't think he's losing to Kenta. And then we get to the main event. We got Josh Alexander with Alex Shelley defeating Khan. Why is Khan wrestling in the main event on my goddamn television? What are we doing? Why is he in this match? He sucks so bad. He's just this big fat oaf with a dumb haircut and stupid ears, and he sucks. And he came to Impact. He's a half-ass his whole life. He's getting by on being big and plotting. And now he's in the main event against Josh Alexander. And Josh Alexander tried to carry this motherfucker to a passable match, to which he did. I just didn't care about it. Neither did the people in the audience because they were silent as hell. You know, after the match, Alex Shelley confronted Alexander after he accidentally. So there was a point in the match where Cody Deaner was cheating, and Shelley went over to go and stop the cheating, and Alexander accidentally hit Shelley. So that's the gimmick, right? That's what we're doing to get interest for Bound for Glory. So after the match, Shelley confronted Alexander for accidentally catching him with a forearm strike. Shelley and Alexander exchanged words until Alexander pushed Shelley, to which Shelley retaliated by hitting the Blade Runner on Alexander. And Shelley sat down with the Impact World title on the bottom rope while staring down Alexander to end the broadcast. I liked this part. So the match, I just didn't find to be interesting. I didn't think it was very good. We all knew the outcome as soon as it was booked. But I like the after stuff because I feel like Alex Shelley is putting on some really great performances. And I could see a heel turn in him, which is why I found the Gresham booking to be interesting, because Gresham's a heel. So I'm just like, oh man, I think you guys are missing it here. I think there's money in Shelley as the heel world champion. But that's just me. And I feel like we're starting to see hints of that here. Shelley is a good heel. He has been a heel in the past, and he's very good at it, but he's never been a top main event heel. So I'd like to see them go with that. You know, it's like, get behind somebody, you know, that'd be cool, but we'll see how it all plays out. But yeah, that was the show. I just did not find the show to be all that interesting. Nothing that they did was like anything that anybody needs to go out of the way to see. There was no match there was no match in the show that was like, hey guys, you know, if this gets released on YouTube, you need to go check out this match. They didn't have any of that. And so so this was, it's kind of a thumbs down for me, and it's been the first time that I could say that in a while. I know that they're just leading and building to Bound for Glory, but you know, I don't really think, other than the main event angle, that they did a ton to get me interested in what's going on at Bound for Glory. I was already interested, so it's not, you know, they didn't do anything new to sell me. And I think they're dropping the ball here with the Speedball Ospreay thing. Speedball's focus should be on Ospreay and not on his tights getting pulled in the third match of the night on a weekly episode of Impact. I don't find the Gresham Speedball stuff to be interesting at all. The promos are bad. Like Speedball sounds like a weenie, you know? It's like they need to do something to get me focused on Speedball and Ospreay. And really they just haven't. The whole thing on that is that we know it's going to be a good match, and that's it. Can one of Ospreay's minions, you know, like, could they have showed up in Memphis, right? Like, he's got a whole he's got the United Empire. Could we not get somebody from the United Empire to come beat up Ospreay or something? Can we get some video promos from Ospreay? Can we get him up on the video wall? Can we do something? You know, teasing Speedball, talking shit to him, anything like that? No. Speedball's entire focus on this show is fucking Jonathan Gresham, because Jonathan Gresham pulled his tights. Who cares? What a waste. But hey guys, that's gonna do it for me this week. Thank you everybody for being a Patreon subscriber. I'm gonna release part of this on YouTube, so if you're a YouTube subscriber, please hit the like button, please comment, and be a subscriber to our channel. And I'll be back next week with some more with some more Brace for Impact. And until next time, mahalo.